Test 1, 2, 3, test. Test 1, 2, 3, test. Test 1, 2, 3, test.
Can I just have everybody's quick attention? If you signed up for public comment online or through the school district earlier today before noon, and your name is on that list, will you please give your name to Misty up here at the front really quick before our meeting starts so that I can make sure that you are in attendance. All right, good evening and welcome to the Moses Lake School District's Board of Directors Board Meeting. It's December 4th and the time is 6 p.m. Misty, will you please call roll for us?
Paul Hill. Here. Corinne Jensen.
Here.
Carla Urias.
Here.
Amy Breitenstein.
Here.
All right, thank you so much. If you'll all silence your cell phones and remove your hats, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all. So I just want to take a moment here quickly before we begin to acknowledge the emotions and the passion in the room. There are many differing opinions and very strong feelings. And I know that all of that is about our students. As we begin, I want to remind everyone that this meeting's purpose is to conduct the business of the school district and to provide an opportunity for public comment for those who signed up. In order to conduct our business, we must remain respectful, professional, and set an example for our youth. I do want to urge everyone to offer their neighbors, friends, coworkers, and community members grace and compassion during this time. Please stay for the entire meeting. Okay, and with that, we'll move on to our oath of office for our two new board members. Okay, great. Yeah.
All right, well, good evening. Tonight I have the honor of providing the oath of office for both of our newly elected or re-elected board members. So we'll start with Mr. Paul Hill. So you want to come up here? It's always a little awkward when we do it over there. Get a picture. Okay. So, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Paul R. Hill, do solemnly swear
I, Paul R. Hill, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties
and I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of Moses Lake School District number 161,
of the office of Moses Lake School District 161,
Director District number 2, for a 4-year term, according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Michael Nordston, come on up. I, Michael Nordston,
I, Michael Nordston,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the laws, and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and I will faithfully and impartially perform
and I will faithfully and impartially perform
and discharge the duties of the office
and discharge the duties of the office
of Moses Lake School District number 161,
of Moses Lake School District number 161,
Director District number 4,
Director District number 4,
for a 4-year term,
for a 4-year term,
according to the law
according to the law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome, Mike, and thank you again, Paul. So we'll move on to our officer selections portion of tonight. So every year we select new officers on the board. So at this time, I would like to open up the nominations for board chair, board president.
I nominate Corinne Jensen as board president.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Next, we will open nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Paul Hill for vice chair. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for taking that. And then next, I will open up nominations for legislative representative.
I nominate Mike. It's easy.
You'll enjoy it.
Learn a ton.
I hope that the comment I just made doesn't come back to bite me. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks so much, Mike. We're just kind of throwing you right out there in the deep end. All right, and then we'll open up nominations for the WIAA representative position. Are there any nominations for that?
I'm going to nominate Carla, please.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you guys so much. So next up on our list is the approval of the minutes from November 20th from our regular meeting. If everyone's had an opportunity to review those minutes, are there any questions, concerns, or changes? No? Okay, so if not, then I will take a motion to approve.
Approve the minutes from the November 20th regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okey doke. All right, so next are changes or additions to tonight's agenda. Are there any suggestions from the board? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
That we adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okey doke, thank you so much. On to our consent agenda for tonight. Are there any questions, concerns, or discussion around any of the consent agenda items?
It's nice to see on the travel request ahead of the trip and qualifying. It makes it so much easier to plan, and I appreciate that.
Agreed. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So I'll take a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I motion we approve tonight's consent agenda.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to our public comment section. There are several written comments. If board members have not had a chance already, please review those. And looks like I've got a couple more names. Perfect, thank you. All right, so we're just gonna start at the top of the list. I want to remind everybody what I said at the beginning of the meeting. Let's please keep everything respectful and civil. I do acknowledge that there are lots of strong feelings and emotions in the room tonight, and I just want you all to understand that I have a lot of compassion around those feelings, and I want you all to be heard. So let's have a successful, calm meeting. So also I should read this section here too. In accordance with the Oakland Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during the meeting or the public comment as appropriate. However, you should not expect a response from the board members in reference to your public comments during the meeting. When your name is called, please come to the podium. Please state your name, where you live. You will have 3 minutes to share your comments. Please keep your comments civil and remember not to comment on specific students or personnel matters. The board will not address your comments during this meeting and will refer them to the superintendent or other staff for follow-up. So I appreciate everyone's cooperation on that as we move forward. And first up is going to be Mr. Tim Prickett. Be okay? Oh, okay. Okay.
Grant County, here in Moses Lake. I've been a FFA advisor for over 34 years. And what's going on is just a travesty of what I just can't understand why Moses Lake is always in the news. We don't have Pasco and Othello and Quincy and Ephrata. Always Moses Lake. One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight is the funds that we have generated through the advisory and the kids with fundraisers. Took us 20 years to generate $55,000 that we used to send the kids to district meetings, to state meetings, national meetings, and we've always had that. We had it in ASB somewhere around 2014, 2015. It went away and went into some other fund, but we always had it. This year it's like, where is it? There was also $8,000 that was generated from plant sales, pumpkin sales, and we can't find that. We've been getting our funds, but it's been coming from CTE, and that money might be coming from somewhere else. So I think one of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in is because we have an $11 million snafu in accounting. I'm not the best at math, but I doggone sure can't make an $11 million mistake or I'd be in jail. So we need to get our arms wrapped around what's going on, and I'd like to know where this doggone money's at, because it does not belong to the district. It belongs to the kids and to that program. Be no different than my business having money and having one of my competitors wanting to delve into my profits. It's wrong, you know it's wrong, and you need to fix it. I hope the people at home that are listening to this online can hear. The last time I tried to listen to this online, I couldn't hear anything. So I hope we can get this fixed. I think there's a lot of problems on both sides. I'm a father of kids that went to this school. I got grandkids in this school. I hope to live long enough to have grandkids in this school. But I'm so disgusted. I can't say enough about how disgusted I am with both sides. This should have been resolved before the school year. But here we are, and who's getting hurt? Our school kids. We all have positions and jobs, and the teachers are going to make it.
All right, next we'll have Tony Kern.
My name's Tony Kern, and I'm a longtime ag teacher and FFA advisor here in Moses Lake. For decades, the Moses Lake FFA chapter raised money for its activities through fundraisers like an annual plant sale, pumpkin sale, and the Sadie Hawkins dance. Until 2014, all funds were kept safely in the Moses Lake High School ASB account. But during the 2014-2015 school year, district administration told us that the plant and pumpkin sale money could no longer stay in ASB and instead needed to be deposited in a general fund account since students worked on growing the plants during school hours. We explained repeatedly that FFA reimbursed the ag program for expenses and only kept the profits, no different than buying candy bars for $1 and reselling them for $2. We were concerned that the funds might not be as protected or as accessible as in the ASB account, but after 2 years of pushing back, we accepted the change only because the district promised the money would always be safe and used exactly as it was before. For nearly a decade, that seemed true. The general fund account worked well. The balances were trackable, and the funds continued supporting FFA students. Then in the spring of 2024, the district faced financial turmoil after administrative mismanagement and a failed levy. In August, the district reclaimed all unspent carryover funds and did not return them to their original accounts. During this sweep, roughly $55,000 in Moses Lake FFA fundraiser funds were taken and never restored. Because the business office was in disarray, we didn't discover this loss initially and continued using the account normally. By September 2025, we feared the money was missing, and advisory board member Tim Prickett met with the district CTE director for a financial review. The CTE director reviewed the financial reports, and his findings confirmed our fears that the unspent fundraiser money had not been returned to our account. While he did not have the authority to restore them, he assured us that he would help cover the essential costs using other CTE funds. We were grateful for his support. However, those funds were meant for other CTE programs, not to replace $55,000 in fundraiser money. In early October, I spoke directly with Superintendent Carol Lewis about this. She acknowledged learning the fundraiser money had been absorbed into the general fund and expressed regret, but said nothing could be done because the funds had been taken in a prior year. We disagree. The district has millions in reserves, and restoring the approximately $55,000 taken from Moses Lake FFA is both possible and right. The money was raised by our students, advisors, and volunteers for the benefit of FFA members, not as district revenue. I am here today to demand that the Moses Lake School Board direct the school district to fully restore the $55,000 in fundraiser money that was taken.
Ms. Lewis, do you mind following up on that at our next meeting?
I certainly do not mind.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Next up is Cassandra Warham.
State my name first. I'm Cassandra Wareham, and I live in Moses Lake. Good evening. My name is Cassandra Wareham. I am the parent to one child who currently attends elementary through Moses Lake School District. He has an IEP and receives special services at school for his autism spectrum disorder, as well as some occupational, physical, and speech therapy. I have come today to express my concerns over this apparent inability to come to an agreement over a fair contract. My concerns are not that my child is at home instead of in the classroom. He's smart and resilient. He will adapt and he will be okay. My children, their education, their care, and their moral conduct is my responsibility as their parent. Moses Lake School District needs to come to a fair agreement with their teachers. They are, after all, the backbone of the schools, for without your teachers, where would you be? I am like a lot of us in this community. I am not a teacher. I am not on the PTA. I haven't volunteered in my kids' classroom or school. I don't bring snacks to the class or participate in fundraisers. I'm not even that great at making sure my kids' homework is done. I am just a parent. But I have been on the picket lines alongside my son's teachers, his special education teachers, his gen ed teachers, his music and PE teachers, my own old teachers. Why? Because my son spends more time during the week with his teachers than with me. He spends 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, 120 hours a month with his teachers. I get 100 hours awake time with my son during the weekdays all month. His teachers have him for 20 more hours during the weekdays every month than I do. Even if he wasn't special needs, That's a pretty big job. They give me a break. Why can't you give them a break? Our teachers are losing out on valuable time to plan our children's daily education. Why would you take that away from them but still expect them to pump out good test scores? The English language learners have had cutbacks. You are pushing that additional responsibility onto their teachers. Do non-English speaking students deserve that? You're taking time away for small group instruction for kids that do not meet grade level benchmarks, but you're still holding the teachers responsible for those benchmarks. Our teachers are looking at losing out on their cost of living increase. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Our teachers bought their own supplies last year, and that continues to this day. I don't know if any other parents were aware of that, but I sure wasn't. They not only buy school supply, but tissue, paper towels, Clorox wipes. The teachers are cleaning bathrooms. Para supports in the classroom are even taken away. So why did admin get raises, more benefits, bonuses even? Why wouldn't you invest in your teachers the same way? Why did the principals, some of who are on the negotiating team against the teachers union, get all the things they got in their contracts? And this last part is directly for the Moses Lake School District administrators. How did you get your high school diplomas? A teacher. How did you get your college degrees so you could become the superintendent? A teacher. Teachers are the reason you can even be up there today. Teachers create all other jobs. You all would do well to remember that.
Arturo Warham.
Is the mic? Oh, is this the mic? No.
You're okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It'll catch you. It'll catch you.
Hello, my name is Arturo Warham. I live here in Moses Lake, Washington. I am a father of 4 children, one who attends elementary school here in Moses Lake School District. My son receives special services through Moses Lake School District for his autism spectrum disorder, as well as physical, occupational, and speech therapy. I'm disappointed with the MLSD that they cannot come to a fair contract with the teachers. I'm disappointed that Moses Lake School District can't see fit to move forward with changing keys locks in the night and tell nobody. Why? Don't you trust the people you hire? I'm disappointed that MLSD has the money to go to court and try to strong arm our teachers back to work, yet they say with the same breath that they cannot afford to fund our teachers and school programs. I'm disappointed that my son has to miss out on library time, music time, PE time because MLSD wants to renege on what they originally promised our teachers. I am sad that my son's teachers have to be janitors because there isn't enough staff since last year to clean bathrooms. I am disappointed to hear that there was cuts made to the English language learners, a program that I personally used during my time with the MLSD. Without ELL, I would likely wouldn't be so well spoken as I am here today. I am angry to see that you are trying to force students not to support their teachers by telling them that they cannot use their band instruments to support their teachers out on the picket lines. Where do you think this money came from to purchase those instruments? The very people facing you here today. As I have heard 1,000 times from this district when it came to protecting our children, there is nothing you can do when it doesn't happen on school time or property. I am angry that instead of restoring programs and support for students on returning teachers' contract conditions, MLSD made well sure to fully fund the administration office, including significant raises, continue professional development for admin, and promises to cover coursework for those pursuing superintendent credentials. These teachers are not asking for a lot. They are demanding what was already promised to them when it was all cut back. These teachers taught me, and now they're teaching my children. They deserve a fair contract. They deserve your good faith, not locked doors and court orders. That's all.
Griffin Johnson.
My name is Griffin Johnson. I live in Moses Lake, and I am a junior at Moses Lake High School. I'm a member of the band program and theater program. Within the band, I hold the role of percussion section leader. Behind me in the back of the room, I have a few of many band students missing out on crucial class time and rehearsal time. The current problems going on with the district have gotten to the point where they are not just affecting the teachers, but the students as well. On top of being in the band program, I am enrolled in 2 AP classes. Within the AP program, there is a set date for the AP test. Not being in class is taking away very needed and important learning time on the already tight AP schedule. I am in full support of the strike and have been out supporting and helping running the band every single day. As the kid of a former Moses Lake School District teacher, what the teachers are asking for isn't unreasonable, and honestly, it's quite fair after I looked into it. Our teachers do so much for students and more, such as using their lunch to help with homework and doing the same after school. The teachers do this because they care about the kids, and I believe teachers deserve much better. So I hope by listening to this, if you don't want to sign it for the teachers, you do it for the students. Do it for the parents who can't afford childcare. Do it for the kids whose warm meals are provided by the school. Before I'm done, I'd like to add that I wouldn't be up here speaking if it wasn't for my former teachers throughout the years. To start, in elementary school, Mr. Jennings helping me find my love and passion for music, along with every other teacher who taught me. Miss Strom, Miss Edwards, Miss Perales, Miss Benson, Miss Kilroy, and Mr. Spees. Then in middle school, Mr. Gonzalez, Miss Downing, Miss Marriott, Miss Armstrong, and Mr. Jeffley. Moving to high school, where the change in my person became the most important part of who I am today, and is the reason why, and is because teachers helped me build confidence. I started my freshman year with no friends, and I was shy, but I joined clubs like band, theater, speech, and debate because those amazing teachers and more, Mr. Zuber, Miss Janisov, Mr. Hernandez, and Mr. White, Miss Arnold, Miss Winningham, Miss Kirkham, and lastly, the teacher who helped me find my voice, Mr. Cholman, my speech and debate coach. All these teachers is why I am speaking today. I don't know where I would be without them. I wouldn't have known what I wanted to do with the rest of my life if it wasn't for my elementary school music teacher. These teachers do more and above what you guys see, so please realize what they are asking for is what they deserve. The impact these teachers have is more than words could ever speak. So the next time you are given an opportunity to sign the contract, please take this all into consideration. And again, thank you all to all of the teachers out there, former or current. You guys don't get the appreciation you deserve.
Webb Waits.
First off, amen to everything that was said before. My name is Webb Waits, longtime resident of Moses Lake and graduate of Moses Lake High School. Moses Lake School District exists for one purpose, and that is to educate our children. The people who support that, who carry out that mission, are the teachers, the paraeducators, and the classified staff who work right alongside them. They're the ones in the classrooms with our students doing the work of educating, teaching, and learning. It seems to me that our administration has lost sight of this. Cutting instructional time for our K-5 students is not just a budget adjustment. It hits at the foundation of learning, and it sends a message about what the district is willing to sacrifice. When student hours go down while administrative pay goes up, it's hard not to wonder what the real priorities are. And the same goes for how our teachers are being treated. Educators need to know that they're supported and valued. They need stability to do their jobs. And instead, we're being told that there is simply no room in the budget for their contract. To me, that shows there is no intention of good faith in negotiating. It shows that somewhere along the way, this administration decided that teachers and the students they teach were the place to tighten the belt. There's been talk from Superintendent Lewis about her big ideas, one of which is being fiscally conservative. I disagree. We need to be fiscally responsible, and the two are not the same thing. Fiscally conservative means holding on to money for the sake of holding on to it, while being fiscally responsible in terms of a school district means making sustainable decisions that keep the district stable while meeting student needs. And meeting student needs includes properly supporting teachers, whether that's pay, which they're not asking for an increase of, classroom resources, or professional development. Doing a little bit of research, I found many school districts in the state who offer 50 to 60 hours of paid professional development a year. Moses Lake has done it in the past, and we can continue to do it. Another one of her big ideas is not spending money just because we have it, and yet we seem to find reasons to spend money when it's up to when it's something that fits their priorities, like rekeying doors at a time that it's not necessarily needed, and paying for administrator credentials. The school district decides what those priorities are, and it should be on our teachers. The budget can be revised. The fund balance percentage can be responsibly lowered to 10%, higher than almost every district in the state, and that alone should resolve the contract issues. So when we hear there's absolutely nothing that can be done, that's simply not accurate. Superintendent Lewis and the district in general got very creative last year to fix the budget crisis. Teachers sacrificed pay and instructional hours to aid the district in that creativity. Teachers themselves had to get creative in the classroom when they lost planning time and paraeducators. It's time for the district and the superintendent to get creative again and solve the issue. Our students deserve better, our teachers deserve better, and our community deserves better. It's past time to fix this. Adjust the deficit, adjust the budget balance percentage, and get our teachers back to work.
Ms. Lewis, can you please address the key situation for us at some point?
Yes, I was actually going to talk about that a little bit tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Could we also talk about the 50,000 for the
Not tonight, but yes.
Okay.
I'd also like to remind everybody that the longer we clap, the longer the meeting goes. So if you guys could just keep the clapping to a minimum, like that would be fabulous. I don't want to have to tell everybody to be quiet. Okay, so if you want to be disruptive, then we can ask that you be escorted out. Those are the options. The next person up for speaking is Blake Rollins.
Real much.
My name is Blake Rollins, and I live in Grant County, Washington. I'm here today as a community member, a father, a volunteer, and I was given the opportunity on the last 2 successful levies to be on the committees and see the struggles of our community. And if anyone's been on this ride long enough, there's been a lot of problems along the years. This is a hard position as a superintendent and as a father of daughters. Carol, I'm sorry that you're going through this and people treat you like this even if you're wrong. You can be wrong and be treated with respect, so I apologize to you. To the teachers, they deserve respect. They've taken it in the shorts the last 2 years and took a step back. And from the optics of the community and the media of the community, it's all attacking our district. It's not working out. I don't like the way it goes with the key issue. The way that came out, it's like it was supposed to happen. It happened a little early. We did it this time. I feel like these negotiations should be behind the doors. It's been brought to the community and it's affecting the community. It affects businesses, the students, doctors do not want to come to town. You know, I serve in the real estate business. People are moving out of this town because adults can't figure this out. And no raises should be made until the curriculum's reestablished, and then joint raises should be made. Union, non-union, administration, teachers, this should be a collective front. I don't know why it is so divisive between the two entities. Why are we not working as a community? I've lived in this community my whole life. This community raised me. It feeds my family. And this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to run business here. It's embarrassing to raise kids here. It's embarrassing to be a part of this. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right to attack the teachers, the administration. They say that they're overstaffed and the teachers are understaffed. We need balance in this district. I don't know why we can't come together. It's really, really sad. And whoever's negotiating since last year, with all due respect, we need new negotiators. We need different people to get involved in good faith of this community that have the best interest of everyone. And the students right now, at the end of the day, are the ones that are suffering the most. And they've suffered for 5 years. COVID, all of it. If you want to stack it all up, it is a travesty that we've let this happen. What are we doing as a community? And how could we treat each other this way? It is embarrassing. I mean, I'm not perfect, and I've never treated everyone perfect, but this is wrong. And we should be embarrassed, and we should stop it now, redline, and fix it. Back the raises off, renew the curriculum, and do joint raises for all. I mean, fix it. It's got to be done. Because this has impacts past right now. It'll go on for a decade what we decide right now. And so we've got to make it right. And everyone should deserve respect in this thing.
Carissa Morgo. Sorry if I said your name wrong.
My name is Carissa Morjo. I have 3 students currently in the district. I have a daughter that already graduated. My daughters are students at MLHS and my son attends Columbia Middle School. I'm here tonight first and foremost as a concerned parent, but also as a community member, longtime volunteer at North Elementary, levy supporter, and daughter of a retired teacher. Due to the negligent financial oversights within the district, our educators have been tasked with continuing to provide a quality education to the students within the district with less support, less personnel, less instruction time, and less classroom resources. Now they are being asked to continue to do that while also being compensated less on a personal level. As I understand it, the teachers are not asking for increased pay or additional benefits, but rather to keep the provisions in the contract that existed prior to the district's financial troubles. To me, this does not seem like an unreasonable ask, especially if comparable cuts have not also been made from all administrative positions. I have seen the morale among the teachers and staff at North plummet amidst the continuing challenges brought on by the cutbacks. I imagine that this decline in morale is not happening only at North, but at all of the schools. How can we expect a great education for our students if we are not willing to fairly compensate and value those who are doing the job of educating them? In my opinion, teachers have always been undervalued. They have a difficult job even when they are being adequately supported and appreciated. Personally, my kids in this district have always had exceptional teachers. My daughter is a junior this year and taking 3 AP classes along with Algebra 2. It has been a challenge for her, and as such, I've had to communicate with several of her teachers on multiple occasions. Each time I've been met with timely responses from educators who want to see her succeed in their class. They've shared valuable suggestions as well as offering help outside of classroom time. This year alone, her AP chemistry teacher, Mr. Cholman, has led 4 evening study sessions for students in that class, as well as offered additional tests taken after classroom hours during conference week for students to improve their grade. These are the people who know my kids by name and have a personal relationship with them. I fear this situation has led to irreparable damage between the district administration and our educators. How does our district move forward when our educators feel undervalued and disrespected by the people tasked with leading them? In addition, all the work that has been put in over the last 2.5 years in the name of transparency to regain the trust of the community has been eroded in a matter of weeks, if not completely obliterated. In the end, it is once again the students who lose.
Ryan Colston.
Hey, my name is Ryan Colston, and I am a community member and a father of the Moses Lake School District in District 4. And I spoke from this pulpit in this capacity about 19 months ago. We talked about this at the last board meeting, and I reflected on that moment over the last few weeks. And I thought that in that moment that I was standing up, I was so bold and calling out disconnected people to action. And I'm now embarrassed of my uneducated opinions and lack of knowledge that my comments conveyed. I've learned as much as I could in the capacity in my time as a board member that was shortened more than I wanted. But I learned as much as I could about the district's finances, causes and effects that every decision makes. And it's just been a drop in the bucket of understanding. It's difficult to express, but I appreciate all the words that have been spoken tonight as they are true to each individual person and to our circumstance. I received as a board member over 1,400 emails over the last 10 days, and I read every single one of them and looked at every single name that was sending it. A lot of them were copy and paste, but a lot of them said horrible things Some people I knew and lots I didn't. Most from our district and lots that aren't. And even in public, I was recently addressed by a friend and a community member, hopefully facetiously, as the enemy. It's interesting how black and white affairs are when you're not as involved as some others are. I at this time, with my little bit of knowledge that I do have on a call to action, the response, like you've already shown, to address issues of the $50,000, of the keys, and I also want to call to action tonight, readdressing our fund balance. I applaud the fiscal conservatism, and I agree with fiscal responsibility, and I feel like that is your motive, and I applaud you in that effort, and continue to do your best. As someone that just stepped down, I recognize that you are trying your best. I appreciate all that you're doing, and hope that we cannot see each other as one side or the other very soon. Thank you.
Is there a Samantha Helm here? Or a Abraham Garcia? Would you like your 3 minutes? Okay, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Abraham Garcia, parent of a family who attends school here in Moses Lake. Article 9 of the Washington State Constitution declares that education is the paramount duty of the state. Paramount meaning highest duty, the first duty, the duty upon which everything else depends. And yet, instead of strengthening the people who deliver that education every single day, the district has chosen to prosecute its own teachers, teachers who have already conceded multiple times, teachers who have negotiated in good faith, teachers who carry the entire student experience on their backs, teachers who cannot close an office door when the pressure builds. Meanwhile, the district holds a reserve large enough to resolve this impasse right now. So I ask respectfully and directly, how does pursuing legal action against educators advance the paramount duty of education? How does punishing the people doing the teaching help the students doing the learning? It doesn't. In fact, it runs completely orthogonal to logic, perpendicular to reason, detached from the very outcomes you claim to care about. And the consequences of this are not theoretical. They are immediate and measurable. When a school district becomes unstable, families do not wait. They leave for communities with stable school boards and strong, supportive school systems. Businesses follow them. Young professionals steer clear. And what takes root is something every economist recognizes. Disinvestment, erosion of the tax base, economic blight, brain drain. A dysfunctional school system does more than disrupt mornings. It actively deters families from moving to Moses Lake. It disincentivizes people from buying homes in Moses Lake. It discourages businesses from investing in Moses Lake. And it blocks the healthy flow of economic life that keeps the community vibrant. Schools are the beating heart of a city. If the schools falter, the city falters. If the schools fracture, the community fractures. And if the schools collapse, the city hopes its growth and its economic future collapse with them. Right now, Moses Lake is in trouble, not because of the teachers, but because of the decisions being made about them. We are standing at a crossroads with only two paths ahead. One path leads to continued conflict, declining morale, capital flight, and long-term economic blight, a slow disintegration of community cohesion. The other path leads to reconciliation, stability, restored trust, and a renewed investment. A future for families who want to live here, businesses want to build in Moses Lake, and students feel supported, safe, and hopeful. And the difference between those two futures is the decision before you tonight. The choice is not between teachers and the school board. The choice is between disintegration and renewal, between economic decline and economic vitality, between a community cracking under pressure and a community rising to meet its obligations with clarity and conviction and courage. Moses Lake is watching. Families are watching. Your own employees are watching. And the broader economic future of this region is watching too. So I urge you, please collaborate over prosecute. Choose logic over litigation. Choose reliability over escalation. Choose the path that rebuilds trust instead of compounding
Thank
harm.
you. Is there Johnny Duncan? All right, looks like he didn't make it. All right. We will move on to old business. We have the contract policy discussion for $25,000 plus. We had a discussion regarding this at the last meeting. I'd like to continue the conversation this evening. There's a policy that was added for reference by Michelle. If you've all had a chance to review, we can start the discussion off now. There's comment, questions at all?
We had discussed having maybe just continuing it, right?
No, we talked about Paul being put in as the initial approval, correct? So that, and you're still willing to do that? Okay.
And then someone else?
Just so that the timing works good, works well enough to get it to the board at the proper time. So that it doesn't slow up the process for contracts. Is that how I'm understanding it, Ruby? Okay. So we hadn't really had a lot of thought or discussion about it necessarily before the last board meeting, I guess. So board members wanted to push it to this meeting, and so I'm asking now that we go forward with allowing Paul to be the primary person to accept those contracts just initially out the gate, because it has to actually be somebody that checks their email every single night, weekday, holiday, weekend, whatever. So if you're so willing to be that person, if nobody else has any objections, I'd like to just move forward with that.
That's fine with Paul, but as long as we have another set of eyes and we all,
The board still has to approve it.
Yeah.
But Paul is the initial gatekeeper for that. So is everybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay. All right. It was just a discussion, so we'll move on to new business. We have a resolution 2026-04. This resolution deals with the educational facilities state study and survey. We have hopefully Brian Sewell here tonight for questions. Oh, for Scott too. Okay, great. Yeah, so Scott, I guess you're going to give us a little presentation about it? Okay, great.
I'll do a little summary or a quick overview of a study and survey. This is a process that is required by OSPI for future projects. And a study and survey is a comprehensive needs assessment that assesses the current conditions of school facilities. Helps also identify some future needs and to help inform some of the long-term planning for the district. As a recap of a study and survey, it's been a long process. It was first started about 4 years ago. It's been off and on, but it's nice to have a completed project. As I mentioned, it's a comprehensive survey. It's a little over 470 pages. If you've had a chance to take a quick review, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some key contributors to the study and survey for the completion of it. You mentioned Brian Sewell. He's the district's project manager. He's right here. He'll also be available for some questions. So thank you, Brian, for being here tonight. Also, I'd like to acknowledge our district, our maintenance director, Rachel Shea. She also had a large part in the completion of the study and survey, and also some trained architects from NAC Architecture, Michael Cole, as well as Brent Harding. They're certified architects from OSPI, like I mentioned, that they're from NAC Architecture, who helped do this. And some of the basic goals of this particular study and survey is to help ensure that the buildings can support the district's educational programs and goals over over a 6-year period, as well as to ensure that the school facilities are educationally sound and environmentally safe. The certification confirms that the information has been reviewed, verified, and updated.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments for Scott?
I would say, was that not updated in 2020 for Groff? I'm glad it's updated.
Okay, Paul, this is kind of your wheelhouse. I'm surprised you don't have any comments.
It's something that
It all looks good to you.
it's something that we have actually discussed in our facilities advisory meeting, and it was necessary for the facilities advisory committee to move forward now with a recommendation here shortly to the school board for elementary number 12.
Okay, any questions for anybody? Any of the staff? Okay, so I will take a motion to pass resolution 2026-04.
Move we will adopt and pass resolution 2026-04.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you so much. Next up, we have Moses Lake Principals Collective Bargaining Agreement. Let's see, Superintendent Lewis, could you share just a quick introduction real quick?
Actually, Executive Director Musso is going to share a little bit
Oh,
about that.
my notes are wrong.
I know.
Okay. Thank you.
I provided each of you a quick overview of the things that have been changed, plus I believe you've seen the marked up proposal. So Article 1, we just made a quick change about how it referenced who's covered by the contract, and then we've updated that list of people on the actual salary schedule, so you'll see that in a little bit. Article 2, the parties agreed to IPD for the first year of the contract, an IPD with a salary study, an opener for a salary study in the second year, so that we can look at comparisons in regional areas. Longevity was always on their contract. It was just stated differently. It was a dollar amount, and it was on the actual salary schedule, and that's shown on the back of, or on as an appendix here. And now it's stated as a percentage of the base pay. And then also we added language about what their responsibility is for receiving that longevity pay rather than just having an amount for longevity. We added new language concerning the transfer of administrators from non-administrative positions to, or from administrative positions to non-administrative positions and how that will work. And we also added, as we found necessary, going through the reduction in force, we added some language about a reduction in force and recall and how that would be processed, because we didn't have any language about that when we had to go through it. And then...
Is your microphone on?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. And then in Article 3, we provided some language. It's something we've dealt with many times, but we had no language about it. So the contracts are 260-day contracts, which is a full year. But ever so often we have a year that is 261 days, so we provided language about how that would be handled. We also provided language to identify options, looking at options for doing something different than responsibility days, and how we might phase those out and do something different with that. Professional development was maintained. However, we did provide clarification of the funding. And I also want to note that the funding that is in that contract is for them to obtain the professional development. Administrators are not paid to attend professional development. And then we provided new language concerning the past practice of the district paying the Members Association of Washington State Principals dues. That's something that has been ongoing for many years, and so we wanted to just get that into the contract. And then Article 4. So they had two pots of leave. They had vacation leave and then personal leave. And so the district administration only has personal leave, so we moved it and changed it into personal leave. So all of their paid time off is personal leave and not two different pots. So there was no additional leave added. It was just all made into one lump sum. We also added new language that limits the number of personal leave days that they can take in a year, including how many they can take upon separation. So they can only take 30 days at the end of their contract year when they're separating, and then they can only cash in 30 days, and those are past practices for the district for all people. We increased the number of personal leave days that can be cashed out from 10 to 15. There's new language added for discretionary leave. This is something new that was added. It's if they exhaust their paid time off and then there's some unforeseen circumstance, they can request at the discretion of the superintendent to get an additional 3 days for those circumstances to deal with it. New language was added providing annual district contribution to employee VEBA accounts, which they did not have previously, and now that matches the certificated staff. We revised language for the previous cell phone usage or cell phone stipend. It was $120 previously. It's still $120, but there was discussion that staff also or administrators also work at home and need to use their home internet, and so that same amount covers both their home internet that they use for work purposes and their cell phones.
So, sorry, can I stop you really quick? So that amount did not increase. It stayed the same, but it now covers a different item.
Correct.
Okay.
Last year they did an MOU and agreed to a 1 year where they would do just $50, and so it was reduced to $50 for that 1 year. So it just went back to what was in the contract previously, but now it just covers that. They didn't get anything new. Article 7, there's new language added, committing the district to establish administrative staffing thresholds with the association to kind of look at the difference in staffing at especially at our elementaries that have very different sizes, but like right now, the same amount of administrative staffing. So we're committed and have dates on when we will get that processed, and it's something that will be done with both parties. And then Article 8, language revised regarding due process to provide clarification. As things happen, we learned that we need to provide clarification of language, and so we've done that. Article 4, the parties agreed to a 2-year contract. And then in Appendix A, you'll see that there were some changes to the salary schedule and the structure. So that's where you'll see that they received IPD of 2.57. And then a few of the positions were moved to different categories. The Director of Alternative Learning Programs was moved up to the same category as High School Principal. And the Regional Skills Center Director was moved up to the same category as Middle School Principal. And then we had previously we had a District Athletics Director that has been changed to a High School Athletics Director. So that was moved down to be in alignment with the High School Assistant Principal. And that's the same way that we have treated the middle school assistant principal and athletic director. So we revised that language. We removed the special services assistant director and the central office assistant directors, as well as the central office directors from this contract, and they're no longer covered by the Moses Lake Principals Association contract. So they're not covered anymore. Central office, we had a director of migrant and multilingual services, and so that was one of them. We had a director of federal programs, and they were a central office director, and so those are eliminated, but we took them off there. So if there was ever a director position at the central office, it wouldn't be covered by this contract.
I have one for you. I had a couple other things I wanted to say too, but I want to go back to the personal leave days because I thought I understood you to say there was no change there. Were you speaking on the 25 vacation days that were changed to personal leave?
Yes.
Or total? Because there were 4, as I understand it, personal leave days prior, or am I wrong on that?
No, the previous contract said that when the certificated staff had a change in their personal leave, the Principals Association would match it. And so when the certificated contract moved to 5 days, the principal association also moved to 5 days that year. So they've had 5 personal leave days, and they had 25 vacation days. So
Okay.
now they have a total of 30 personal leave days and 0 vacation days for a net.
Right, you know, I
change.
saw that. I just thought they'd only had 4 before.
Oh, they had 5.
Okay, did I get cheated out of one before?
No, never. You would never allow that.
Okay, so it's 30 and 30. They're just named differently.
So there's no additional leave for them there.
Okay, all right. I had a couple more things. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was on this
Unless
contract
you're-
for
are you-
21 years.
Are you addressing
I am addressing just
the contract?
the contract
and
itself.
The
yeah.
staff, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I've seen a lot of misinformation out there, and I've heard a lot of misinformation, and I've had people ask me questions about it. And Michelle actually covered a lot of those, so I'm going to skip a lot of what I had put down here. But one of the concerns was that the district is paying union dues for administrators, and that is not accurate. They are not paying union dues for administrators. They are paying, as Michelle said, membership in AWSP, which is the Association of Washington School Principals. That's been paid for decades, and that's something that happens across districts throughout the state. That's just a thing that they do. But and AWSP puts on a lot of training and professional development, those kinds of things. And I guess we could connect that to the $1,300 we were talking about for professional development that they can access to go to those conferences, but they are not paid to go, and they cannot access that money if they don't go. So personally, when I was an administrator, I think the last time I accessed mine was 2010. So a lot of it just sat there because I just didn't have time to go. But I just wanted to clear up that piece that these are not union dues that are being paid. They're dues to a professional organization. Let's see, what was the other thing? You covered the cell phone allowance. There's a lot of things. I mean, administrators are on duty, whether they want to be or not, 24/7, 365. And, you know, I would get parent calls after school hours. I get 2 a.m. calls that the fire alarm's going off in the building. I would get police calls because there was something, you know, going on with one of our students, and could I contact the parents, or could I look up this, or could I look up that? There's just a whole lot that people may not realize that administrators are doing after hours, just like teachers do too. But, you know, we have some other responsibilities there. Let's see. You addressed most of what I was going to say. 30 days. Yeah, and then just the other thing, the big thing that I saw on social media, it's not the best place to get information, but it's out there, was a concern about the 30 days. And just consider that these are 260-day contracts. And so without any vacation time or personal leave time, a person on a 260-day contract gets weekends off and the 13 days surrounding federal holidays. And I'm not sure that I know of anybody that would want that job. So there are extra days built into the contract that they can use with certain parameters. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, thanks, Mike. Any other comments from board members? No, okay. All right, hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the Moses Lake Principals Collective Bargaining Agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. Move on to our information items for tonight, and we'll start with our financial report. Miss Ruby.
Thank you. Hello and good evening. So today we're going to be looking at the finances for October. Last month we looked at the finances for September. And as you can see right now, we are actually looking at our fund balance. And as I mentioned last month, The blue line is anticipated. It's where we budgeted, where we thought we would be. The yellow is the treasure, and the red is the actual. So that's the district's actual fund balance. And as I mentioned last month, we were going to be off from the treasurer just because of our accruals. We receive revenues in September, October, November that still pertain to August. And the county has already receipted them, and they're recording them accordingly. However, we receipt them differently because they apply to last year's 24-25 expenditures. So we have to put revenues and expenditures where they go. So in October, what you actually see is that the district and the county are actually coming together. So that's why you see the red and the yellow are actually meeting up. So that's where we're going to start to actually match our revenues and expenditures. Revenue accruals have been reversed and they're no longer accrued, and that's just an accounting practice. So this shows our fund balance at about, so we're looking at October at 21 million. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So this is our fund balance as of October. And as you can see way at the bottom, it's 21,018,491.10. However, just because we have 21 million in our fund balance, that doesn't mean it's ours to spend. And I kind of wanted to take the time to educate everybody, the board, on how this actually works and what is actually available for us to spend. So the first number that you're going to see up on top is the $794,000. That is restricted for program carryover. So what that means is that last year, the state went ahead and paid us for LAP, paid us for vocational, and paid us for several programs, but we didn't spend it all. And those dollars are to be spent in those programs. So that carryover has to be spent in those specific programs. So we have to set aside those dollars to make sure that we don't spend that money in something else. So $794,000 is carryover dollars from 24-25 that need to be spent 25-26 in those specific programs. So that money is not the district's money to spend in anything other than those programs. Now moving down, we see $75,000, and that's for inventory, and that's just an accounting guideline that we have to follow. Now, following that, we see a 4.5 assigned to contingencies. And what that is, and I'll talk about this a little bit more after this slide, is we had a single audit which reviews our federal programs. And that audit reviewed our 23-24 grants. And in that audit, what the state auditors found was that we didn't comply with certain state requirements. When we get federal dollars, it is very important that we follow federal guidelines. Federal guidelines are more strict than our state guidelines and more strict than our local guidelines. We did not complete time and effort reporting the way we should have. We did not complete time and effort reporting in Title I, and we did not complete time and effort reporting in special ed the way we should have. And because of that, go ahead.
The years that happened.
We're going to talk about that here. And because of that, we have federal findings. And then there was also some other dollars that had a federal finding attached to them. I'm going to go into that a little bit further here coming up next. And then in addition to that, we had some reserves from a previous audit findings that we added to that. Now, what's different from this month and last month is that we are done with year end. Yay, thank God. And upon the ESD's review, they recommended that we would also assign, for other purposes, the $635,000 for compensated absences. Again, that's another accounting thing that has to be done. So basically, if everybody claim their liabilities, we would have to pay them $635,000, so that money is not ours to spend. Now, there's an unassigned fund balance there that you'll see. It's a 1.1 million. At the end of that 1.1 million, there's a negative there that is easily missed. So that's to say that unassigned fund balance available for us to spend on whatever is negative $1.1 million. Now, the next line is $16 million that we have based on our 12.5 fund balance policy. So all those dollars combined is the $21 million that we have in our fund balance. And of the $21 million, the amount that we have to spend is negative 1.1. So I'm going to go in and talk about the audit findings next.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So the negative 1.1, tell me what that means again?
So that is the unassigned fund balance. So after, we have $21 million right now. Are you familiar like with Dave Ramsey, and he like has you do all these envelopes?
I love Dave Ramsey.
Okay. And so it's like, it's a cash flow thing. We technically have 21 million in our fund balance right now, right? But let's say we have all of these other envelopes, and that combined make that $21 million. So one of those envelopes is $16 million for a rainy day. Because we all know that we have to have like at least a month's expense, or Dave Ramsey says 3 months expenses, right? In case anything happens, or 6 months expenses. So that's what our minimum fund balance looks like. So we have right now $16 million in that envelope. And then we have $635,000 in another envelope because we know that we have other liabilities we might have to pay in the future. And then we have a $4.5 million envelope because we know we're going to get a bill from the feds for those audit findings. And then we have another envelope for $75,000. And then we have another envelope that we could only spend on specific programs, that's for $794. Now when we look at our revenues and our expenditures, total, September and October, our total revenues and our total expenditures, September and October, we have more expenditures than revenues. That's what that negative $1.1 million is. Now, because we have a rainy day fund and we have $16 million in that other envelope, we're going to borrow $1.1 million from that envelope of $16 million to pay for the difference because we have bills to pay, right? And we know that later we might have to pay that 4.5 or pay the $635,000 or whatever. So the $16 million is kind of like a little savings account. It's when our revenues and our expenditures don't match, and we still got to pay bills, and the revenues didn't come in according to the bills, we're going to borrow from that envelope. And that's currently where we're at right now. We've borrowed $1.1 million from that $16 million envelope. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you.
That does. So do we have a somewhat estimated every month what to run a district our size?
What do you mean?
How much it is a month to run a district our size?
Are you saying what the cost is?
Yes.
So on average compared to other districts?
No, just ours.
Just ours? Yeah, so last month, just to run our district, in September, it was $11,700,000.
So that shows.
And then we're actually going to talk about that here in a little bit. And then October was $10,800,000, and we're actually going to look at that too because I did some additional graphs for you guys to look at. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the $4.5 million because like you said, there's some rumors out there that this has already been paid off, and I wanted to clarify that. So what makes up this $4.5 million again is, as you can see here, we have a special ed audit finding in the amount of $1.4 million, and that was again time and effort. Now what that means is that our people did work in those programs, however, we just didn't record it properly. So Sammy is currently working with the feds right now, making sure that, and proving to OSPI that those teachers did work in special ed. And so, like the last federal audit finding, we worked with them and we reduced that to $30,000, from $6 million to $30,000. we are working diligently to try to make the same thing happen again. But until we actually can do that, we owe $4.5 million. And we actually just started working on this a couple weeks ago. So we have $1.4 million in the special ed grant. We have $2.9 million in a Title I grant. Again, this is time and effort, as you can see up on top. And then we have $47,000 that was ESSER dollars. And again, time and effort. So in addition to that, when I was creating when I was doing year end, we had actually reached out to OSPI and asked, this is the audit finding from last year, and this is the letter that's circulating in our community right now. This letter states that we owe $6.8 million, and that was from the 22-23 audit. And of those $6.8 million, we now only owe $30.8. However, when I was working on year end, I emailed OSPI, and the email's up there, and they said we still owed $131. So after that, Lorraine has worked with them. We've all worked with them, and we've brought it down from $131 to $30,000. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. And so of this,
sorry, I have a question really quick. So with this time and effort that you're showing us here, that was supposed to happen but didn't.
Yeah.
Who? Don't say who, but what are the positions that are responsible for reporting that accurately and properly and on time?
I honestly believe, I understand that the person who was responsible for doing this is no longer here at the district.
Okay.
And that position has now been absorbed through Director Musso and Bonnie Walker.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
We're already working on it. We're one step ahead of you.
Okay.
Yeah, Carol has been involved in all that as well also. So again, the 47,000, the 2.9 and the 1.4 and the 131 that we were aware of back in October 10th is that $4.5 million. So those $4.5 million are still owed. And the $30,000 that's owed currently is from the prior audit. So God willing, we can bring that down again, as long as we all work together as a team. So now looking at, goes back to what you were asking, Michael. Looking at our revenues and expenditures up until October, we have brought in $20 million, $20.9 million in revenues, and we've expended 22. That's where we're seeing the difference, right? So that goes to show that we're like 1.6 million in the red. However, we're using some of the reserves and then also using our 12.5. So this is just a graph showing where we were in September with our revenues. The blue line is September, the red line is October. You'll see that in September we received a little bit more from the state and nothing from federal. But in October we did receive a little bit more from the federal and then a little bit less from the state. And that's just based on OSPI's revenue cycle and how they do things. So here are our expenditures, and this is why September and October were different. As you can see, like you asked, Carla, like our expenditures are pretty much the same across the board. Like they're going to be pretty much the same in case something crazy happens. Like in September, we had an insurance payment. And what past practice has been is that we separate the insurance payments between September and October, and that didn't get done this year, and it all got paid in September. And then, again, luckily we had that reserve so we can pay for that. So that's that big spike that you'll see there in contractual service is that we had that insurance payment. Okay, now this is another graph that I've added as well just to track our unassigned fund balance because I know that this is going to be a hot topic moving forward. Now in September when we did this, we did not have the compensated absences assignment. So we reported that we had 72, 74 around there, $1,000 in unassigned fund balance. But because we had to put in the compensated absences assignment, that actually brought September's unassigned fund balance to negative $562,000.
Was the compensated absences thing, is that something that was found in the audit findings?
No, it's just something that
Has
ESD
come up.
requires us to do. It's in the accounting manual. It's one of the requirements that hadn't.
Weren't doing that before, or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so the next one, so then if you have negative 562,000 from September revenues versus expenditures, and then you have another, looks like 538,000 for October, the accumulation is 1.1 million. And that's where we're dipping into our reserves. So we're actually going to see this happen moving forward. Any questions? Before I move on
just
to
have a
FD?
clarifying question. This came up about 5 minutes ago. You were talking about the total expenditures for September at 11 million something and October 10 million something. Is that everything, including paying our personnel and all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything. And so we will be dipping into our reserves, and hopefully by the end of the year, when we get our first levy collection. Now we have to remember that the reason this is happening is because we're still not getting levy dollars. We won't be getting levy dollars until like May or June, and then when we get those dollars, then hopefully it can replenish our minimum fund balance requirements. Some, not completely, but some is what we're hoping for at the end of the year. We still have some things up in the air, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so enrollment. Enrollment without ALE. September, October, November, we're pretty close to what we've budgeted. As of November, budgeted FTE is 7,953. The average up to November has been 7,992, and actual is 7,993. So you can see that we are just slightly above what we budgeted. So that means that our revenues will hopefully stay the same, and we won't see a shortfall in revenues moving forward. Any questions?
That one.
Sure.
Do you think we will be able to recover the funds that we've used and are going to use out of our fund balance?
Like I said, there's still a lot of things up in the air right now, which is, I believe, why we're all here today. And we're going to be dipping into our reserves about 9.8 million, and our levy dollars are not that much. So hopefully, you know, if we keep watching it, by the end of the year, we'll come close. But like I said, a lot is still up in the air, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Ruby.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you so much, Ruby.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the superintendent's report.
Right. Good evening, Board of Directors. At the beginning, President Jensen requested that people stay for the whole meeting, and I just want to express my gratitude for everyone who stayed. I do know that there is, as she stated, a lot of emotion in the room. There's a lot of emotion toward me in the room, and so I just want to thank everyone for being here and hearing the whole board meeting, because sometimes that doesn't happen, and I'm just really appreciative. This is a great gathering of many diverse opinions throughout our community, so thank you. I am going to talk about a lot of things tonight, and this might be a little long. I'll try not to make it that way, but there's a lot to say this evening, and so I did want to start with the key situation because that had been a pretty hot topic earlier in the week. So one of the news outlets had reported that the rekeying of the buildings had absolutely nothing to do with the work stoppage. And that's not entirely true, and so I want to acknowledge that. We can't control what gets reported in the media. We try to work with them, but sometimes it doesn't come out exactly right. And so So there had been a plan for a couple of years, actually. If you guys remember, we had been talking about this at board meetings about fixing our key situation for quite some time, since about a year ago. And we had a plan this year with the addition of our safety and well-being staff to really get on that plan and start to secure our facilities a little bit better, particularly for community use, because we really need to understand and know who has keys to our facilities and who is using those at all times, because it's a huge liability. Our insurers require it, and it's just good practice. You don't want to have people running around town with keys to your buildings and not know who has those. And that was the case. We knew that a lot of keys had gone out the door over the years and not a lot had been written down. And so, and the community mostly uses our gyms. And so we had made that plan to do it. When we heard of the potential work stoppage, we thought, okay, how do we keep our facilities open to the community and to our coaches who want to continue coaching during that time? And one of the things that we wanted to really make sure we were doing is making sure things were secure and knowing who was in there. And so we said, okay, let's move that key plan forward a little bit more quickly than maybe we were going to, so that we could ensure that our facilities were secured and we knew who had keys and who did not. So unfortunately, and we had a good communication plan, ready to go for that, to inform everybody who needed a key, who was supposed to be in the building, to come to the district office and pick up their key. Contrary to what's being out there in the social media, we did not rekey the buildings in the middle of the night, but our maintenance folks do get to work pretty early, some of them around 4 in the morning, to get some of their work done. And so that could have been what happened, but there was no covert plan to rekey our buildings in the middle of the night, and there was definitely a communication plan in place to make sure that everybody knew that they needed to come pick up a key. In one instance, that communication plan failed, and that was our fault. And one coach did not get the proper communication, arrived really early in the morning for a practice, and unfortunately, the kids and the coach were not able to get into that gym. And we are apologizing for that. That shouldn't have happened. And you guys know that one of my principles is own your mistakes, and so we own that. We had every other instance where somebody needed to get into our facilities, as far as I know. Everybody was notified. I saw lots of people running in and out of the district office, picking up their new keys, and people got in as they should. So that's what happened with the keys. Any questions about that?
I'll just add to that, having worked in the district for so many years. It was a little scary to me how many keys were out there and how many people have them that we don't know that have had them for 25 years. And you show up on a Saturday to do something and there's somebody in your gym. Well, how'd you get in the gym? Oh, I have a key.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yes, and that situation right there is a massive insurance liability for the district. If anything were to happen, we are liable, regardless of who's in there. So we have to gain control of that situation, and we certainly want our community to be able to use our facilities extensively. We just need to do it in the proper way, where we've documented everything and we know who's in there and that they have the proper insurance to be there. So yeah.
Have we thought about going to key cards?
That's a discussion for another day. Yes. Yes,
that.
we have, and that's a whole other discussion. That's a more lengthy,
Budget for
costly.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I remember having this discussion about keys back in May of 2024.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I appreciate that it's done now.
Well, it's not quite done, but we're in the process. So yes, it's getting done.
Okay.
Yes.
We're almost there.
The gyms are just about done, and then we need to then turn to other facilities as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's it on keys. I just want to acknowledge, like everyone in this room, I think, like many in this room, I have been for quite some time been deeply concerned about the erosion of trust that we worked so hard to try to start to build back. And so I just want you as the board to know that I don't take that lightly, and it is very heavy on my heart every day, and has been for a few months at this point. I also know that some will take whatever I say tonight, and they'll use my words to represent our district in a negative light, to represent probably me personally in a negative light, and that's regardless of what I could say right now. There's so much misinformation out there, and I'm sure that much of what I'm going to say tonight will be turned into misinformation as well, but that's not going to stop me from speaking. So as we may recall, a year ago, our community was pretty outraged that we didn't have a balanced budget. And today, that same community is outraged because we're trying to work to build a fair and reasonable contract with our education association that will also create a balanced budget. And so tonight I'm going to talk about some of the things surrounding that. I do want to clear up a little bit of misinformation in that, and I've heard some of it tonight, and I've certainly heard a lot of it over the last few weeks, in that we are offering differing compensation or, contract increases in pay for our administrators or our classified staff, and we're not offering that same option to our education association. As we all know, all of our proposals that we've made to the Education Association are online, and I just want to assure the board that we have offered additional compensation in line with what we have offered to the other groups as well. We've had a lot happen in the last 18 months. We had the double levy failure, we had the financial errors, we had a massive loss of trust in our community. We focused in on explaining what happened with those financial errors, and a lot of us were running all around town day and night nonstop to try to do that. And we were also making promises that we would remain financially responsible with a money in, money out budget. Then we had a lot of conversation about audits, and should we have a forensic audit, or should we let the state do their thing? I can assure you that the state has been very thorough, and we've been in audits for, I don't know, probably 15 months now, and that's still going on. And I did want to update the board. We had originally heard that they may be ready to give the audit findings for the accountability audit at the end of November. Obviously, that didn't happen because we are now in December. We don't have a date from them yet when they'll be done because they keep finding more things. So I guess what I'm going to say is, everybody who was worried that they weren't going to be thorough, they're being thorough, and we're meeting with them once a week and have been for a very long time. Then we headed...
Which audit for which years?
So we have the federal financial audits that already happened. Those are the ones Ruby spoke about earlier. So you have the 22-23 federal financial audit and the 23-24 federal financial audit. Yes, okay, I'm getting the years right. It gets all mixed around. Then they do an accountability audit that is for both of those years all in one. And that's really the one that's taking forever, because that's where they dive into, they look in the media, they look at the board meeting minutes, and they see what are all the things that the community was concerned about, what are all the things that the board was concerned about, and they look for they look to see if we're following the Open Public Meetings Act. They look at all kinds of things. So it's from 22 to 24 is that accountability audit. And it's going to be a pretty extensive report that we get back from that. And Mr. Hill has requested that we receive that report in an open work session. And so we've been talking with the auditors about that and trying to get that arranged. But we don't know when that's going to be done yet. Okay.
Great,
so
thanks.
We talked a lot about audits. We got those audits started. And then we worked on really some education for our community around our levy promises, and just going out and begging our community to please give us a chance and support us and approve a levy so that we could eventually add programs back for our students. And then we started restoring those programs. And this year, while we haven't fully restored everything, because as Ruby mentioned, we only get half of a levy collection and we don't get it until May, and there is a full plan in place to finish out all of those levy promises as we go forward into the next school year. Then we entered into negotiations with our 3 labor groups, and I already addressed that a little bit. And of course, the reason that many people are in the room tonight is because we are still engaged in labor negotiations with the Moses Lake Education Association, and that began on June 10th. And I think that we've probably had 30 or more negotiation sessions. And again, I am deeply concerned about the way that that's going and the fact that it is tearing our community apart. So I have some slides, And I also have a little video that I think is going to help. All right. So we've all felt a lot of loss over the last 18 months. Our community has. Our students, mostly our students who suffered the most from our financial errors and from that double levy failure. Families are feeling the pain, especially right now. Our teachers, and in spite of what some may think and some may say right now, teaching from my heart, I have deep respect for our teachers. It's the backbone of our organization, and the fact that we're in conflict right now is deeply troubling. Our classified employees who took the biggest hit in that the reductions in the last school year, they took the most cuts, and I'm so grateful that many of them stayed with us. And our administrators stepped up in ways that are pretty remarkable, just like everybody else did. So I guess my point is that we all felt all of that loss. I want to just assure the board that we are still very much focused in on ensuring that we keep every promise that we made to this community through our levy communication, and that's just, we've all seen that a whole bunch of different times. That will continue to be a guiding document. It came out in our caucus meeting today. Came right out and we said, okay, we need to make sure that whatever we do, it fits within here. And we can see that the biggest piece of that pie is for educational programs for our students. We want to be able to add those in the coming year. We've added some this year and we want to add more next year. Okay, so we're gonna look at a little video in just a second, and we really debated, those of us here really debated on whether or not it would be appropriate to show this because we didn't make it. Somebody else did, and it was a fairly anonymous person that Michelle actually reached out and contacted the person to get permission, but they're remaining anonymous. So it's AI generated. It's based on many online sources of data, and you guys know that there's all kinds of different sources of data out there, so they're not, personally vetted by anybody in the school district, but the accuracy is verified by us. So it's accurate in a general sense. There's a few things that well, maybe that could be true, maybe that couldn't be true. For example, one of the things that they'll talk about is the cost of living index for Washington. There is no cost of living index per city in the state of Washington that's official. And there's all kinds of different online ones that you can look at. And of course, it fluctuates a little bit from here to there. But the general idea is still accurate. It's not our work, as I said, but it does explain really well why we're struggling. So in the end, I decided I think this would be good because it explains the struggle in a really neutral way. So Ryan, do you have the video for us? All right. Yeah, I'll send you the link. We'll include the link in the board stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's about 7 minutes, so bear with me.
Hello, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into the teacher strike in Moses Lake, Washington. Now, this might look like just a local issue, but trust me, it's a perfect window into the huge pressures that public education is facing, not just there, but all across the state. And we're going to start right here with this quote from the Moses Lake superintendent, Carol Lewis. It really sets the stage, This isn't just about a contract. It's something that's hitting families, students, and the entire community really hard. So, on December 1st, 2025, everything just stopped. The teachers union, that's the Moses Lake Education Association, they walked off the job. That means classrooms are empty and nobody knows when students can come back, all while both sides try to hammer out a new deal. This gets us to the big question, right? What are the teachers striking for? And while the simple answer is usually pay and benefits, when you look at the national data, the story gets a whole lot more complicated. You might actually be surprised to see where Washington State lands in all of this. According to the 2024 data, it's the 4th highest paying state in the entire country for teachers. The average salary is over $86,000. That's right up there, trailing just behind places like California and New York. And to put that into perspective, this number you're looking at, $69,554, that's the national average for teacher pay. So Washington teachers, on average, are making more than $17,000 higher than that. On paper, it looks like a fantastic place to be a teacher. So this brings us to the central puzzle, doesn't it? If the pay is so competitive when you look at the whole country, what is fueling this conflict in Moses Lake? Well, as you can probably guess, it's not just about the final number on a paycheck. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to talk about something we all deal with every single day, the cost of living. Because a salary that sounds amazing in one town can feel totally different somewhere else. And that is especially true in a state as diverse as Washington. And this table, well, it really lays it all out. This index sets the national average cost of living at a baseline of 100. So Seattle, no surprise there, it's way up there, super expensive. But look at Moses Lake. It's also over the national average. So even though it's not nearly as pricey as Seattle, the financial squeeze on teachers there is very, very real. And this is really the key thing to understand. The union argues this isn't about getting a giant pay hike. It's about making sure their salaries actually keep up with the rising cost of everything. They're fighting for a cost of living adjustment, so they don't actually lose money and buying power year after year. Okay, so there's a fancy name for this in Washington State, the implicit price deflator, or IPD for short. It's basically a number that the state sets using a federal inflation measurement, and it's a standard, crucial piece of most teacher contracts. How that IPD gets applied is a huge part of the negotiation. But salary is just one piece of this puzzle. While teachers are feeling that squeeze from inflation, their school districts are dealing with a completely different kind of pressure on their budgets. And it all stems from a massive recent change to employee benefits. So check this out. Back in 2020, Washington completely transformed how school employee health benefits work. Before, you had 295 different districts all negotiating their own plans. After, they created one single statewide program called the School Employees Benefits Board, or SEBB. It standardized everything, from who gets benefits to what it costs. Now, one of the biggest, and I mean biggest, impacts of this new system was a huge expansion in who qualified for benefits. The percentage of all school employees who are eligible for health coverage jumped from 68% before SIB to 77% after. And more employees getting benefits means, well, it means more costs for the districts. And those costs jumped a lot. A state analysis found that districts' monthly spending on health benefits shot up by anywhere from 31 to 44% under this new SEBB program. That's because of higher rates, more people qualifying, and districts losing the ability to prorate costs for part-time staff. Okay, so the state wasn't totally blind to this. They knew this was going to hurt district budgets, so they did increase funding to help out. For instance, they funded 25% more benefit units for classified staff, people like bus drivers and paraprofessionals. But the real question is, was that extra money enough? And the short answer is no, not even close. That same state analysis found that on average, the new funding only covered about 76% of the total cost for these mandatory benefits. That left a huge gap, nearly a quarter of the entire bill that local school districts had to somehow figure out how to pay for themselves. Okay, so let's bring it all back home to Moses Lake, because this is where all of these big statewide issues, inflation, soaring benefit costs, just slammed right into a uniquely local financial disaster. See, even before all this contract stuff boiled over, the Moses Lake School District was already in a really tough spot. They were grappling with a massive $11 million hole in their budget that was caused by an accounting error. This had already forced them to lay off over 100 teachers. So you can just see how this all created a perfect storm, right? On one side, you've got teachers who need their pay to keep up with the cost of living. On the other, you have a school district staring down a huge deficit while also getting hammered by these state-mandated benefit costs. It's an almost impossible equation to solve. And that leaves us with the big, difficult question at the end of all this. This situation in Moses Lake isn't just a simple contract dispute. It's a case study of these immense, often contradictory pressures that are hitting public education from all sides. It shows how big state policies and local financial problems can collide, leaving a community caught in the middle, asking a really tough question that has no easy answer.
All right, so we are in the middle of a really tough question with no easy answer. And I really like that video because it does present a really neutral, balanced way to look at it. And it doesn't place blame. It doesn't place blame on our teachers. It doesn't place blame on the district. It just says this is really complicated and difficult. Can we go back to the presentation? Okay. And I'm just gonna keep moving. All right. So I shared these commitments before, and they're still our commitments as we work right now. And we are committed to obtaining a fair and financially responsible labor agreement with the MLEA. We're also committed to long-term financial stability. You know, and I said this earlier, you know, that a year ago the community was you know, raising their fists and yelling about, you have to have this long-term financial stability. And that's true. And now we're in a situation where we're faced with this terrible problem of what do we do to resolve this labor situation and still maintain financial stability. We need to responsibly manage taxpayer dollars, of course. That has to do with the keys too. We want to keep those promises that we made to the students and the community during the levy vote. And we want to have consideration and support for all of our district employees. And we also want to have clear and accurate communication with our employees, with our families, and with the community. And like I said, there is so much misinformation. There's accurate information out there. There's also a lot of misinformation. And so we're trying to provide some channels where we can get that accurate information to people. So one of the things that I want to talk about that is a little bit of misinformation is that we have, and Ruby did a great job, so I don't need to spend a ton of time on talking about the fund balance. But when we hear, well, you have $21 million in the bank, you know, and that's true. That's absolutely accurate and true. Is it more than what the minimum required fund balance is from the board? Yes, that's true. And I want us to think about our personal bank accounts. You know, I know that mine looks a lot different on payday than it does the week before payday. And right now we're looking at our county treasurer report, which is our bank, on payday. And so while that money is in there right now, as Ruby very clearly shared with us, it's not going to stay there. And so we just need to keep that in mind. All of our bank accounts, almost always, are fluctuating up and down, especially our checking account, because we're writing checks and we're getting more money and it goes in and out and in and out. And so to look at any bank account at any one point in time and assume that that means that that individual or that business or that school district is always going to have that much money, it doesn't work. And then I've talked about this before too. We have the conundrum of one-time purchases versus what I'm calling subscriptions. And so let's say we have a personal bank account, we have a savings goal of $1,000. And we look at that bank account and we say, oh my gosh, I have $1,200. So I've got $200 more than my goal. So if I go out and make a one-time purchase that costs $200, great, I still have my savings goal in that bank account. But if I do something, I say, yeah, I've got this $1,200, I'm going to go sign up for some sort of subscription at a health club or something that's going to cost $200 a month. It's going to be month over month over month over month, and eventually it's going to be gone. And so we have to think of those things, whatever we decide to agree to and write into an agreement or a contract, that's going to be a subscription. It's not going to be a one-time thing. So when we talk about the fund balance and using the fund balance to fund any one of our labor groups' contracts, that's not a sustainable idea, because over time it's not going to get replenished, because our goal is to meet that fund balance and then leave it there. And we're not going to continue to add and save and add more to that unless we know that we have a situation coming up where we're going to need more money than that. But the goal will be just to get to the fund balance and then let it sit. And if we, regardless of what that percentage is, so if we change the percentage, as I've heard some people suggest, to 10%, that still needs to sit there, and we can't continue to fund a subscription kind of thing out of that. And so that's what we're wrestling with, and that's what I'm hoping that everybody comes to understand, is that when it goes into an agreement, it's a subscription. It's not a one-time cost. And so we have to be mindful of what we're putting into those agreements. So here's some of the ways that we're trying to be transparent. This has turned into a beast of a document, and I want to thank Michelle for keeping it up. We have this proposal tracker, and this goes into me saying I really want to make sure that accurate information is available to anybody who wants to see it. So any of the documents that have been passed between the parties during the labor negotiation have been put onto this document. It's by date in reverse order, so the most recent ones are closest to the left side, and then you can see it goes all the way out to all the sessions that we've had since June 10th. There's also some other supporting documentation, like calculations for how we arrived at things and just some other things linked up at the top. So this is on our website, and I just want to make sure that anybody, board members or anyone else who is very interested in following all of this, can open those things up and take a look. And it's done in a very equal way. Anything that the district gives to the association is on there. Anything that the district receives from the association is on there as well. I do want to also point out, this is a point of misinformation, that we have failed to offer any pay increase for our certificated staff. And so and this is straight from that public document that's already out there, so I'm not sharing anything that's not been made public already. I do want to point out that every package proposal that we have made to the association does provide a pay increase for members. And you can see that back in 23-24, when we thought we had a lot of money in the district, and before all those financial errors were discovered, the total compensation is listed there at that 98,000 mark there. And keep in mind, this is actual compensation, not benefits. So benefits go on top of that, but it clouds it all up when we do it that way, like insurance benefits and things, which are, as you just heard in that video, very, very expensive and mandatory. Last year, overall compensation, we did appreciate the association making some cuts to their professional development in an MOU, and so that did go down. Overall compensation, though, in the last year went up just slightly, and this is average. Every proposal that we have made in recent weeks has included some way to raise pay. And so in this example that was passed on December 1st, you can see what the increase would have been, and then in the following year what the increase would have been. So again, I share this because I keep hearing all over the place that we're asking everyone to take a pay cut, and that when you look at overall compensation, this is what we have been offering.
Can you tell me what TRI?
Right, yeah, that's time. Michelle, can you tell her? I always say it wrong.
So TRI is time, responsibility, and incentives, and really what it boils down to is 4 days. So last year there was 3 days in previous contracts, and what has been offered now is 4 days, and it's before school starts. So it gives teachers a day to set up their classrooms in August. It gives them a day of doing mandatory training on safe schools. It gives them a day in their building with their teams and their principal and things like that. And then it gives them a day just to plan and prepare for the school year. So that's 4 days of pay at their per diem rate.
All right. Ruby already talked a lot about this, but so I'm just going to leave it. You already heard all about the fund balance and what's assigned, what's unassigned, etc. I did this today. I just went and I took the 41 months from January 2021 through May of 2024, when we learned of our significant financial errors, and this is what it looked like. So the fund balance, cash on hand that we have with the county treasurer, was anywhere from 15 million to 20 million for about half of that time, and then starting in 2022 or so, you can see that we got out of whack with what our obligations were versus what was coming in. And I know that part of that was because there was actual accounting errors, but the county treasurer reports don't lie. And so this is what happened to our fund balance during that time. And what I committed wholeheartedly to the community, who was, everybody was very adamant that we never let this happen again. So that's what the picture looked like. And fortunately, it doesn't look like that any longer. Okay, and then I want to talk about IPD in reality, because the state likes to say, oh, we give this percentage increase IPD to staff, and it's often viewed as a pass-through, meaning we get everything we need to fund this IPD percentage. Remember, that's that implicit price deflator. It's like reverse cost of living adjustment percentages. So, but what that's funded on is the state's prototypical base salary. And so in 24-25, the prototypical base salary was approximately $71,435. Now this year, it's the prototypical base salary is about $80,000. It's about $80,000. But I wanted to use 24-25 because we don't know what our salary is going to be this year because we haven't settled that contract yet. So I can't say what the average salary is going to be in Moses Lake, but the average base salary in Moses Lake in 24-25, same year, was $97,561. So when the state says that it gives us this IPD amount, it's on that $71,000 amount. So it's not enough to make up to actually give that percent increase to our staff without finding it somewhere else. And so that's a really important piece for everyone to know. And this year, the difference that if we were to provide that amount, which has been in several of our proposals to all of our staff in the Moses Lake Education Association contract, it would cost the district, it's over $600,000, but more than $600,000 that has to be come up with. And then when you think about, you compound that year after year after year, at some point that system breaks and there's not going to be enough money to go ahead and continue to give that, that IPD full amount without finding it somewhere else. So, questions on that? It's so complicated. All right. What else? Okay, so here we get to the end of this, and I've had several conversations with board members along these lines. You know, this work stoppage is going to end. There hasn't been one yet ever in the history of public education in Washington that hasn't. So this whole thing's going to end. At some point, it will end. That doesn't necessarily have to coincide when we come to an agreement, but it probably will. And how we treat each other right now is going to determine how we're able to heal when it does end. And I'm encouraged with all the people who stayed in the room tonight because that shows an openness and an interest in hearing all the points of view. I enjoyed hearing the points of view of the people who are concerned about this as they came up to do their public speaking. I appreciate everyone who stayed and heard all the things that Ruby had to say and that I had to say. Our students are watching how we all act right now, and so we just need to remember that. And our teachers are some of the most important people to our students. In fact, oftentimes, I know for me, I became a teacher because of teachers. So, you know, there was comment earlier not to forget that. I never forget that, and I always credit those who taught me and helped me get where I am today. We value our teachers, and I look forward to coming back together in a strong, unified way. Our administrators are also valued members of our school district and community. Our board members are. Our classified staff members are. Our board members are public servants who work for free. I always kind of chuckle when I hear they say, board members should take a pay cut. Well, maybe they should start paying us. I don't know. But I want the public to know that all of our board members do this for free. And these board members, so get ready, Mike. It's not easy to be a board member in Moses Lake, but I think you know that. But these board members got a lot more than they bargained for. And so, you know, everybody is a valued member of our community. I don't think I have a slide about it, but I do want to clear up another misconception. You heard from Michelle about our contract that we settled with our Principals Association. That included an IPD adjustment to their pay. And I want to say that, you know, because there's been a lot of, you know, why did the superintendent or why did the people that work with the superintendent get big fat raises? And I can assure you, and the board can attest, that nobody did. And in fact, all the people sitting up here tonight, including myself, took significantly less for the positions that they're doing than the people that they replaced. And along with all these IPD increases that we have negotiated and are in the works of negotiating, these people are not getting any of that. So I just want everybody in the board to know that as well. Okay, so we will continue working on solutions that meet the needs of our teachers and our other certificated professionals. We're going to continue ensuring that we keep our levy promises, and we're going to continue working within a money in, money out budget. And I'm going to bring this back around because I talk about this all the time. You know, I am hopeful that we continue to build a school district and a community where we're lifting up and supporting one another, even when we disagree, that we don't jump to conclusions and accusations, and along with that, that we check facts that we may read in the actual media or on social media. We trust each other enough to have direct conversations. You know, we're never going to all agree. There's way too many people in this town and way too many people in our organization for everyone to agree. But let's have conversation. I was disappointed this week because I did reach out to two people who were pretty hot about some things, and they said no, they didn't want to have a conversation. I respect that, and I hope that we reach out to each other to have those conversations, and that we share our resources rather than compete for them. So I think that's all I've got for tonight. Any other questions from the board?
No, thank you so much, Carol. Hey. We'll move on to our student rep comments.
Good evening. There's no major updates this week due to closures, but students are just waiting for clarity on what happens next.
Next we'll do board comments, and we'll start with Amy.
I don't have anything this week.
Carla?
I would just like to say that I'm just very hopeful that we can unite and come together. I'm hopeful for our community and parents and teachers and everyone, that we just can come together for our community, and our kids need that the most. And I have kids at home too, and they very much want to go back to school. So I am very hopeful that we can all just continue to get through this, and we will.
A couple of things. First of all, I just want to acknowledge the decorum that's present here tonight. This has been an awesome audience. I appreciate everything that everybody has said. I've made notes on things that people have said. We are listening to you. I can tell you that coming into this tonight, my anxiety level was pretty high, not because of just sitting up here, but just because of the things that are going on, and we acknowledge, and a lot of people have acknowledged tonight, the issues that are happening, the issues that we're facing. But I really, really, really appreciate the decorum demonstrated here tonight, and it's been awesome. So I have been asked to share one thing before I share what I really had planned to say. But there is out this door to the right, if you go clear down to the end of the hall, or as far as you can get anyway, a tree out there with tags on it. If you wish to purchase a gift for a less fortunate person, you will remove a tag from the tree if you choose to do this, and you'll see a number on that tag, and then right on the wall is a corresponding number where you can write your name in that you took that tag. And then you can go purchase a gift. You can wrap it or not wrap it, bring it back by December 12th to the transportation department, and they will take care of seeing that that particular person gets the gift. If you choose to donate money instead, you can bring that in with your tag as well, and somebody will go purchase the gift. And I think I said December 12th, sponsored by Transportation Department, Cindy Goldsmith, who is one of our bus drivers. She just raised her hand way in the back. She will be the person that you come and see. Is there anything I left out, Cindy? Did I leave anything out? Okay, thank you. So the other thing I'd just like to do, there were 6,800 people roughly that participated in the school board election, which was, I think, about 2,500 higher than in the last election. So I appreciate people turning out and actually participating. It's really heartening to see that to me. I would also like to thank just my many supporters. I had a lot of people helping a lot in the campaign, reposting Facebook posts from my campaign page, et cetera, helping put up signs. Those who donated financially to the campaign, I appreciate that very much as well. I'd also like to offer my thanks to Lila Baker, who was in this campaign for a while. She has some health issues that she's dealing with. I appreciated her being willing to step up, and I hope a lot of other people will step up in the future as well, so that we are able to have some discussions. But Lila stayed in this campaign as long as she felt that she could. She did try to get her name removed from the ballot, was not able to do that, and I'm happy that she was here for a while. And then, just to let you know, over the course of the next 4 years, we're going to make a lot of decisions here. And you will like some of the decisions I make, and you will not like some of the decisions I make. I'm hoping that we can still work together as we have tonight, and people coming into these meetings can provide the same sort of atmosphere that's been provided this evening. One of the things that you need to know about me, if you read my campaign page, if you talk to people, I said that I was going to consider 3 things when I made a decision on the board. One was, is it good for kids? 2, is it legal? Does it follow policy? And 3, is it financially responsible? If the answer to any of those questions is no, I don't see how I can vote for something. So that'll be in my mind. And then the only agenda I have is to work hard every single day to do the best job that I can. I'm open to hearing from you through email, text messages, and so on. My information will be on the district website soon. And then finally, my wife is sitting out there, my biggest fan. Thank you. That's it.
Welcome, Mike. Thank you. All right, Paul?
How do you follow that?
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, buddy. And you had to mention Lila, didn't you? Hard enough time getting through this, and then anyway, I'd like to take a moment and say thank you to one of our student board reps who isn't here this evening, Emmanuel Zapita. He's a senior, and he's out with 2 other classmates from CB Tech's Criminal Justice Program, and they're at the Tip of Cop event to support Moses Lake PD, K-9, Safe Streets, and other similar programs. So he would be here, but obviously he's at an important function. And the next, I have some thoughts to share. It's tough, but I've got to do it. We know we're facing financial issues. This board and this cabinet inherited a major financial shortfall. This board and cabinet, led by Carol Lewis, has not only navigated the inherited $11 million financial mistake, but also the snowball effect it has caused. Carol stepped in, and without an increase in her salary, navigated not only the money issues, but then the double levy failure that we faced. Along with it, all the effects that came with it. I will also point out that Carol is working still with an assistant salary or assistant superintendent salary without an executive assistant. As a senior board member, I can assure you that I support her 100% and that this team truly has the community and the district's best interest at the forefront of all that we do. Disinformation seems to be a hot topic tonight, and it was on my list. There is a lot of emotion-charged information out there on social media. We all know that. A lot of keyboard warriors. The board and the superintendent have received in excess, my last count was over 1,300. Ryan said 1,400. Canned emails that are driven by the union aimed at the 5 board members and at the superintendent. They're personal attacks. Not all of them, but some of them are personal attacks. I urge everyone, go to the district website, and on the front page of the website now is a direct link to the proposal tracker. Don't take my word for anything, this board's word, the community's, or the social media. Please go to that site and look at the proposals that have been exchanged, what's been offered, what's been accepted, what's been rejected. Do the research and make the decision for yourself without all of this outside influence. Third, I've had multiple emails calling for my replacement. I will not apologize for standing for financial responsibility. This community deserves much more than what we got with our prior administration. This community placed an enormous amount of trust in us by passing the last levy. I will do everything within my power and ability to always honor that trust. For those calling for the board to fire Carol Lewis, my unequivocal answer is no. She has done nothing but help us to guide and lead us out of this chaos that started on February 13th, 2024, when we failed to pass the first of 2 levies. May 14th, 2024, Carol was promoted, and I use that term lightly, to acting superintendent, and then subsequently hired, still at her assistant pay scale as superintendent. Once again, I will say that I stand with Carol 100%. She has the district at her best interest. For those who are calling for me to be fired, this will be the end of my board comments. Please, in 2029, feel free to run against me, replace me, and take my job. I will say we'll be in a better place than we are now when I leave in 4 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. So when I moved here in 2020, I chose Moses Lake because of its community. I saw many things online when doing research about how our community comes together and everybody has all these wonderful events in town, and we have so many youth events, and the support is outrageous. And I thought, wow, this is so amazing. I love it. This is great. We need to move there. And so we did. My family moved here from the other side of the state.
At Christmas.
Yeah, right before Christmas, yeah. And when we got here, I honestly never thought I would be on the school board. I never imagined doing something like that. But I found myself irritated and frustrated by our situation here with our school district. Everything I was reading in the news, all of the things during COVID, it just kept adding up. And so I decided that if I was going to complain about it, I better be part of the solution. So I ran for school board, and I had to be pushed, I won't lie. I didn't necessarily want to just, on my own gumption, stand up and run for school board. And it's been really hard. It's been really, really tough. The campaign was hard. Figuring out why I truly wanted to do it was difficult. But at the end of the day, the answer will always be the kids. And I think that now that I'm on the school board, and all of the challenges that we faced, including spending an 8-hour Saturday in the boardroom trying to figure out how we were going to pay all of our employees. On my husband's birthday, I decided after that meeting that I really was here for a reason. And I'm doing this because this town means a lot to me. And I know I haven't been here very long, but it really does. And so I wasn't going to get emotional, but I am, because it really truly does mean a lot to me. And I'm happy that I'm here doing this job for free for you, because I believe in this school district and this town, and I believe that we can come together, even though we have quite the divide right now. I just want to remind everybody in this room and anyone listening at home, if you can all just treat each other with compassion and grace and sympathy, and at the end of the day, we're still Moses Lake, right? We all have to come together for our kids and for our town. So, and that's why I moved here, is to be with people like you who really truly care. So, and with that, that's it. That's all the comment that I have.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I got emotional.